My name is Dr. Emma Shapiro, and I help run Debt-Free PT, which I actually turned into a job board during this time. And I also help a lot of travel therapists, and I help run Alternative Healthcare Careers with Dr. Mike Chua, where we help people, and that's probably where most of you know me from, and that's where we sort of help creative alternative careers like this one we're going to share today. So I am here with Stephen, and Stephen Dunn has he was running a Pilates studio, but then COVID hit. And so he's been really creative, and now he's transitioned into starting to offer some virtual Pilates, which I think is so creative and neat. So he's going to share with us sort of how that's going. Hey, Stephen.
Yes. Thanks a bunch for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Well, do you want to maybe get started a little bit, sort of go from the very beginning and just sort of talk about what inspired you to break away from the standard traditional therapy model and start Pilates, and then we can dive into the remote side?
For sure, yeah. Well, it all started back many, many years ago when I graduated in '98. It was about 4 years after that where I was exposed to Pilates the first time. And I didn't really know anything about Pilates. I didn't know the word at all. And I was applying for a job. And someone had asked me if I knew that word, and I did not. And they hung up on me really quick. And that sparked my interest to be like, what the heck is this word Pilates? I've never even heard of it. And so that was about January of 2002. And no, that was in December of 2001, excuse me. And then a few weeks later, I was training for a marathon, and I was doing this long training over in Santa Monica when I was living in California at the time. And I stopped to use the restroom. And when I came out of the restroom of this restaurant, there was a studio that said physical therapy, Pilates. And I was like, whoa, there's that word again. There's the word I didn't know. And so all of a sudden, I saw it twice in the matter of a couple weeks. And then I'm looking through the newspaper a few weeks later, and the exact same place where I saw that sign was looking for a PT. And so I ended up getting a job working there, not knowing anything about Pilates, but being thrown into it and then getting certified within a short period of time and learning that it was a part of my practice. It was something I wanted to be a part of my practice moving forward. And so I started incorporating Pilates into all of my treatment methods and all my plans. And that was the start. And it was the summer of 2002 when I finished my Pilates certification and decided that this was really something special that I wanted to share with people. And that was kind of the starting point of it all.
Okay. How long, if you mind really quickly interrupting, how long did it take you to get certified? And because I know some people are going to be asking that, can you talk a little bit about sort of the certification process?
Sure, of course. Yeah, at that time, it took me about 8 months to get through my entire training. And so I met with my trainer twice a week, my teacher, and we met for 3 hours at a time. And we did that over the course of about 8 months. And in that process, I was finished and completed a training program. At that time, there really wasn't the same thing that there is now. But right now, there's a organization called the Pilates Method Alliance, and they have a test. And it's kind of like a national standard test. And so the whole certification process now is you do your training with anybody that has a teacher training program, just like going to any PT school. And then you take the PMA exam to get certified in Pilates, just like you would take the NPTE exam in PT. So it's a process like that. It typically takes people about a year is kind of the time frame that it takes now, because it's about 450, 460 hours of instruction, teaching hours, apprentice hours, and doing it yourself. And at the end of that process, you can take what's called the Pilates Method Alliance exam. And that's when they test to make sure you know what contraindications for back pain. Maybe you should be avoiding this in the repertoire. Or if someone has osteoporosis, they shouldn't be doing hundreds, and they shouldn't be doing teasers and roll downs. So all of a sudden, the PMA was kind of designed to it is kind of a governing body, but it was designed to try to keep the general public safe because there was no true certification process at the time, and people were getting certified in a weekend and not truly understanding the work and going out and teaching and hurting people. So that's kind of the way that it has been evolved. And I took my PMA exam probably 7 or 8 years after I went through my training program because it just didn't exist at the time that I went through mine.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's great for sharing that. Thank you. And are there a lot of different certification programs out there? Like, how do people know what one's better than the other? Do you have maybe a suggestion of where people should go?
You know, there's a group called Polestar that's run by several physical therapists. It was started by a physical therapist. There's a group called balancedbody.com, and that's basically a company that's made around the equipment, one of the main manufacturers. They have a program. There's other programs like STOT. There's programs, there's a program from Australia called the APPI. So there's many different programs. Okay. And again, the Polestar is going to be a little bit more geared towards rehab based. And then this is all programs that are kind of considered what we would call contemporary in the Pilates world. And then there's the classical Pilates, and the classical Pilates programs are more teaching it the way it was taught 100 years ago. And this is the exercises, and this is the way it's done for everyone that walks in the door. And we've learned more of a, hey, if you have osteoporosis, don't do this. And if you have this, don't do that. And so we learned it on a little bit of a diagnostic basis, and based on what someone should or shouldn't. We determine their Pilates program based on what they should or shouldn't do based on their body, and not just a list of exercises that were made many, many years ago. No offense to that. That's a great system. But we look at more of the current research and the current model and the current biomechanics that we know. So that's kind of some of the differences in the like contemporary versus classical Pilates, because if you are researching to get certified, that's going to be one of the first things you find. And there's a little bit of a fight between those worlds, just like there's a fight between McKinsey and Maitland, and a fight between everybody that's doing something a little bit similar but a little bit different.
Good. Thank you. That makes a lot more sense, because I know a lot of people have been interested in just rounding themselves out, adding new techniques, and Pilates is something that we get asked a lot. So that's really helpful. Do you want to dive into sort of how you currently have been running your clinic, and then we'll go into the remote? And for everyone staying on, thank you so much. Try to stay on to the end. About halfway through or a little bit towards the end, I've got some really cool prizes and coupons and stuff like that. So I'm going to make it fun.
So until this virus, our normal standard operation of business was a cash-based physical therapy with Pilates. And most people came into our world in some way injured and would start off with physical therapy. And then I would progress them over to working with one of my Pilates instructors. And they might do private sessions for some time, or they might join a class. And that was kind of like our normal funnel that we would take people through. And some people would join classes for years and stick around for years. And, some people would stick around for a few months. It varied. And so we also had people that would just find us for Pilates because they wanted to do it a little bit safer than the classes that have 12 and 15 people in it, and they're big and not very much individual attention. So we have people that find us for Pilates as well, and they would just do personal training one-on-one with one of my instructors, or they would do group classes. And we had multiple options. We were when we were doing private sessions pre-virus, it was we were charging $87 for a private lesson, and a client would pay anywhere, get a 5 or 10 pack to get discounts off of that, pretty much. And we were charging anywhere from $25 to $37 for a group class where 4 people were on a reformer, and people could pay monthly and have a membership, or they could pay per class, or they could buy 10 packs. So we kind of had these different options for people to do things. And that was how we did business for many, many years. We've had that model for 4 years of me being cash, but we've been open for 15 years in our current location, where we've been a Pilates studio inside a physical therapy office. And so then about 3 weeks ago, not quite 3 weeks ago, it was our spring break, actually. My kids were off for the school for the week. I believe this was the week of the 15th, March 15th. And we had intentions of going to Colorado on a ski trip. Well, we started driving to Colorado knowing that things were getting weird. We knew this was getting weird. And we drove to Colorado. We stopped in New Mexico the night before it's about a 15-hour drive where we were going. So we stopped in a hotel in New Mexico, and we found out that the resort we were going to had just shut down that day. So we were like, we're 4 hours away from the snow in the mountains. We obviously can't ski. Let's just go up there and hike and let the boys sled a little bit, and then we'll go home a few days early. Well, we got to the mountains, and it was a ghost town. Everything was shut down. They wanted us to leave. They're like, wherever you're from, go back. We don't want you bringing whatever you got here. So we literally stayed in the mountains for about 3 hours. The kids sled down the mountain for a good hour and a half and just got all tuckered out. And then we got in the car and drove back to New Mexico, and then got in the car and drove home the next day. So it was a long 3 days in the car for a few hours in the mountains. But on the drive home, the second day driving home, we had about a 10, 11-hour drive. I listened to a couple podcasts on shifting my business PT to telehealth, and I listened to a podcast on shifting Pilates to virtual Pilates. And in that 11-hour drive, I was listening to it in my headphones, and my wife was sitting next to me, who runs our studio with me. She's a big part of our business. She's a Pilates instructor, certifies people, all that. And so I'm telling her, hey, I'm pausing the podcast and I'm giving her a list of instructions. She's texting it to Andy, who works with this therapist, physical and occupational therapist back home. Andy's seeing clients that day, but we're seeing that the next day it's falling off. The next day, boom, like there's no one coming in. And I said, Andy, let's just prepare we're going to be shut down in the next couple days. And we're shifting to all virtual. And so we just sent him a list of things to do because we were driving and unable to do things. By the time we got home that day, again, 11 hours, 11 hours in the car. We got home that night on Monday night. This was Monday. It would be 2 weeks from this Monday coming up in a couple days. And no, that'd be 3 weeks ago, excuse me. In that process, we had all of our systems in place. And what we did is we started using Zoom, and we started using our scheduler system that we already have been using for many, many years. And we set up virtual classes, and we canceled everything that was in-house. And the only thing someone could schedule through our system was a virtual Pilates group class or a virtual Pilates private session or a virtual telehealth session with me. And then, it is raining hard. So that was the shift of that, what we did 3 weeks ago. And then Tuesday, we worked on all the systems to get it all tied together. And then Wednesday, we went live and we offered our first virtual Pilates class for free. But people had to sign up and like Zoom, like register. They had to send me their email. And, yeah, exactly. And we did that and had our first class. And it was kind of weird, There was some 4 or 5 people on there, and we're just like, we don't know what's going on here, but this is our new world for today, and we'll see. And then the next day, we had our first class where we were charging $20 a class. And we had one person show up for the first class. We had 2 people show up for the second class. And then would have been Thursday was our first where we were charging people, Thursday and Friday. And then by Monday, we had 3 or 4 classes a day for the whole week. So that by the time that Monday through Friday happened, we had, we'll say, 17 to 20 classes on the book. And some classes had 0 people show up, and some classes had 4 or 5. And so all of a sudden I'm going, 5 people in a class, $20, $100, for just teaching something online. This isn't bad. I just got to get 5 people into every class. But that was the start. That was the shift. And we've now had 2 weeks of that where we've probably had, I would say, 12 of our 17 or 18 classes have someone sign up. Some of them are on equipment because my wife is an instructor. And so we have a lot of people that have equipment at home. So there's 2 classes that you got to have equipment to use. But they've had 5 people in those classes because those are people that were used to coming in.
Yeah, they were already committed. Yeah.
Exactly. They've paid the money for the expensive equipment. Exactly. So that's kind of what we've done and what we've shifted to. And so we're 2 weeks in. The telehealth has been a little slower than the virtual Pilates because the virtual Pilates, people are kind of used to doing fitness more so than telehealth. People are used to fitness online than physical therapy online at this point from my communicating with them. And my staff, we've all had a hit on our visits, don't get me wrong. But my staff has been able to at least teach a couple classes a day, or a couple classes throughout the week, I should say. But they didn't lose a lot of their private clients because their private clients, 1, they want them to continue to make money. And 2, these people love us because of the community that we've built. And my clients and my trainers have great relationships. And to think about going 4 or 6 weeks without doing the work that we do together, they're signing up, and they're a little more, they're wanting to stay on the course from all the work that they've been doing with us prior to this craziness.
That is awesome. Well, I have so many takeaways. One is hats off for you for just being like, hey, we need to do this. We need to take charge. Let's do it. And I think you're an example of, if you just stop worrying and just start doing it, the systems actually aren't that complicated. Like Zoom, I know a lot of people that you actually don't even have to pay for multi-person classes if you're keeping it under 40 minutes, as long as you don't need any sort of fancy emails on the back end and other things, and you can just have it be very basic. So you can actually, and I'll be going through like how to use Zoom in this summit, but you can set it up really easily. You just use Zoom, get the registrations, and show up to the class, and maybe get yourself like a fancy camera or a bit nicer camera, and then you just start doing it. And the more you do it, people start getting used to it, and this will become the new norm soon. So, but I think it's actually really interesting that you found that the fitness side is actually succeeding more than the telehealth side. That makes me think that like there's a really lack of like maybe like a communication where we need to change the language about how we say what telehealth is. Maybe if we just change that wording, then more people will come.
I agree 100% because it's a scary word that no one knows. No one's searching for it. It's not out there. It's not optimized. And the idea is kind of daunting. But virtual fitness, like, I reached out. I'll give a story. I reached out to a patient of mine 3 weeks ago when all this was going on, told him what we were doing. He kind of talked to me like I was an idiot. Like, what do you mean you're shutting down? He's like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, what do you mean telehealth? And he kind of completely blew me off. Now, he's a good buddy of mine. I became his buddy as a patient. Like, I didn't know him until he was a patient, but now we're good friends, right? So he's straight up with me. He's like, I ain't doing that. And a week later, I reached out to him, and he goes, yeah, I started some FaceTime calls with my trainer. I'm doing 3 FaceTime workouts with my trainer a week. And I said, hey, man, that's what you were doing for years that led you to me. You seeing that trainer 3 times a week and y'all avoiding doing anything for your back because you were afraid to move your back and he was afraid to move your back. Well, we've been working our butts off for 6 months to get you to where you're not afraid to move. You're doing all the things you want to do, but you can't go to the gym. You can't play golf. You can't play tennis, and you can't swim the way you normally would do. He's a super active guy. So I would like to see you and make sure that you're not losing ground from what you gained. And he blew me off again. And then 3 days later, he texted me and he said, I'm ready to schedule. And if I'd have if I wouldn't have keep following up with him, I would have lost him, or until this was over. So he's on my schedule next week on Tuesday. He's on my wife's schedule on Thursday because that's his normal routine. Trainer Monday, Wednesday, Friday, me and my wife in the middle. so that we're working on making sure that he's not being babied and not avoiding the stuff that hurts. But anyway, it's a great story of like, he told me the first time I talked to him, I got 4 kids running around. Where the hell am I supposed to work out? I said, well, buddy, your kids are going to be in virtual school in a couple days. You're going to notice that life is going to settle into this like virtual world. And these are the words I kept using over and over with him. And again, I'm saying this because as the communication you were just talking about, I think this ties into it, right? This is my lessons from what I've learned from talking to my clients over the last 2 or 3 weeks. By using that word virtual, your kids are going to be in virtual school. You're going to be doing virtual sessions for everything you do. How many times have you been to virtual church? Oh, yeah, twice. So all of a sudden, those wordings, that it became an idea. What I'm doing is no different than that. And I can help you just like those people are helping you. And then all of a sudden, he was knocking on my door wanting to come in instead of me having to sell him anything. So the only reason I'm saying that is because people are resisting telehealth to me, but I'm staying on them. I got time to call them. I'm staying on them. But not only did he sign up for me, he signed up for my wife, Cheryl, a private session there. Now, some people I talk to, they're like, Stephen, I'm feeling pretty good. And they just schedule with my trainers virtually, and they're not seeing me. And I'm like, that's cool, because that was the whole purpose of our plan from the get-go. So that's where we're seeing our virtual fitness side took off a little faster than our telehealth side. And I've always said that when I tell people about Pilates, that Pilates is more marketable than physical therapy, and it will always will be until we change that narrative. And we have not changed that narrative. But guess what? Both of the professions are about the same age, but way more people know what Pilates is in the real world than what physical therapy is. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our shifts. That's what we've done. Is it enough to pay our rent and pay the bills right now? No. But we created a brand new business, 2 brand new businesses, telehealth and virtual Pilates, in 2 days. Got it implemented in 2 days. Are the systems perfect? No. But I will explain my system a little bit clearer, because you asked a little bit about the
yes.
about Zoom.
Let's go into the systems here. Perfect.
Yeah. So I use Mind Body to schedule. It's a scheduler app. It's very common in the physical therapy, in the Pilates, in the yoga world, even hair cutting world. But it's not necessarily common in physical therapy. But we use it. It's where our schedule is kept. It's where people pay for packages, pay monthly memberships. All the money's kept through them. So when we went to that website and took off all options at our office except our virtual ones, our clients are used to going to our website and scheduling through this scheduler app, right? So they go there, they schedule a class. We go to this class about 30 minutes before in the schedule, and we can see who's signed up. If no one signed up, we don't teach the class. If someone signed up, we send them the email. We create the Zoom link, which sounds like you're going to be going over in one of your calls. We create the Zoom link. We email it to everyone that's in the class. We then text them, hey, we just sent you an email with the Zoom link to get to the class. So they get a text and an email with it. Now, the text doesn't have the link. It just has the check your email. And that's what we're doing. And all of that we're able to do through our Mind Body system with a few clicks. And it's pretty easy. Then they sign in. We talk to them for a moment. And we tell them as soon as class starts. Now, if it's a group class, this is the way we run it. We say as soon as class starts, we're muting you. And we're going to pin our screen to the top. So if you got a question, sorry, this is a group class. We can't help you. And we're not going to watch them. And we're not going to instruct them and modify things. It's a group class, and that's all we can really offer with that in this situation. Now, at the end of that class, we record it, right? I put it on YouTube in an unlisted link, and now I'm selling it to my clients who are, I don't know how to do Zoom. I don't want anything virtual. I'm like, well, guess what I have? I have a video on demand, and you can buy this one video. It's a YouTube link. I'll send it to you. It's unlisted. You can't find it anywhere. It's not available anywhere, but I'll send it to you. And then if you buy the video, if you buy one, I'll send you 3. So now we have an option on our Mind Body app that someone can buy a virtual class that is pre-recorded video on demand. So we're funneling that system, and then we're putting all of that into a membership site for people to be able to pay monthly to have access to these videos. And in 2 weeks, we've accumulated like 20 videos just like that
Awesome.
we got filmed and put into the site. And we had probably 30 videos prior to this ready to go in the site. So all of a sudden, we've got a virtual business that was born out of nothing. We were creating this online membership site slowly but surely. Well, now it's just ramped up and hyped up. So we kind of have multiple options, because we have people that are 70 are like, no Zoom, buddy, no FaceTime for me. And so, hey, would you like a class? I'll send you one for free to try it out. The people that have been giving me money for a long time, yeah, I'll send you one for free. One of my patients, he bought 5 of them. We're selling them for $20 a piece. And he goes, I'll buy 5 because I want to help you out until this is over.
Oh.
And so he's not going to sign up for a class, and he may not even watch those videos, but he bought 5 of them, and I sent him about 25 of them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I could see this as like even an upsell too, like thank yous. I mean, there's so many things you can do with these videos. You know, they can become, you know, like sort of like home exercise type of videos. They could be upsells,
For sure.
like what you're doing with the membership. I love how like you're thinking creatively and going like even beyond just the live courses, because like I think the beauty of online is the infinite scalability. Like I've been working with a couple people trying to get them to start creating their courses, because, you know, you can take someone who's a client and maybe they don't need you as much anymore, put them into the course where they're still, you know, they can always access, you know, that just for a refresher as to how do you do this movement? How do you do this? But you don't even have to do anything. That's 100% passive income are those courses. So I love how you went right to that. I think that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that model.
Yeah, we made 200.
You made what?
No
I'm
problem.
sorry?
We made $200 selling courses. I mean, selling videos to people that would have never paid us any money this week. They would have just waited till it was all over.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a lot of money, but $200 I need right now, because I'm not seeing my normal caseload. So,
hey, it all helps. Exactly. What have been some of the challenges that have come up?
Well, there's some technical challenges. The first few classes of doing it, you know, someone not finding their link and not knowing how to use Zoom. You know,
hopefully you haven't seen anyone like naked go across Zoom or anything.
Oh, and we haven't had any Zoom bombs. I've been hearing about the Zoom bombers, and I haven't had any of that. But the challenge, I think, for me is that like my staff is they're doing everything they can to help. But a lot of my clients, when they're in that class setting, they don't want to be put on mute. They want to keep talking. They want to, hey, this hurts my shoulder. You know, they want to turn the class into a private. So some of my group classes that I prepared on, excuse me, I prepared to reuse and videotape. There's so much banter back and forth between the client, because we're not filming any of the private ones. The private sessions, it's just a one-on-one, and the trainer's watching the person more than in the group, the person's watching the trainer. So we're like, hey, if they're going to hijack your class, they got to do a private so that you can do that. And that's just some of my people that are used to the kind of a personal attention we give them. And I can't blame them, but at the same time, we have to put that boundary up. So that's been one thing. And it's the same handful of clients that don't want to really pay for a private, but they want to find that class that they can get in and kind of hijack, if you know what I mean. But that's been a challenge. And again, from a marketing standpoint, it is getting everyone to know that we're offering this. Even though I'm sending out emails, even though we're posting about it, there's still people that when I call them, that I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing. They have no idea, and they're like, wait, oh wow, you didn't. And I'm like, how do you not know we're doing all these things? Because we're telling everybody. But then it makes me realize that not everyone pays attention to their emails. Not everyone pays attention to their text. Not everyone pays attention to Facebook or is watching or pays attention at all. So it's kind of interesting. But every single person I've talked to has thanked me for calling and told me that I'm the only person that like in their professional circle that's called them and gave a crap. So like yesterday I didn't have any set telehealth sessions and I was literally on the phone all day. I booked 5 people from being on the phone all day for next week and had the best conversations with people that I've had. And what am I used to doing all day? I'm used to working on people and talking to them and engaging them and being personal with them. So even the people that didn't like book, like I didn't ask any of them to book. I'm just telling them what I do, what we're doing and how we're trying to help people. And they say, okay, I would like to try it out. And through that process of just talking to people, because I have that time, that's how I'm helping slowly keep people in my world so that even if they don't sign up for telehealth or a virtual Pilates, they're on the back end, they're going to say, this guy took the time to call and gave a crap. And that's something really powerful that I'm seeing that I didn't know was going to be as powerful. People were saying, do it, do it, do it. And I was already doing it. And then all of a sudden, it was about a week into it that people kind of like went, and that I can get people to do that on the phone now. Like they'll talk. I'll talk. And then they kind of have this moment where they just kind of go, oh, Stephen, I can't believe this. And then it's just kind of real at that moment. And then that's where things kind of shift and change. So I'm just trying to stay on the phone long enough for them to have that moment.
That's awesome. No, I think a lot of people right now feel like they don't know what to do. If they're not touching someone, they're not able to continue to grow their business. But what you're doing is just keeping those clients, making them continue to feel special over the phone. I think that that's great. Now, question for you, because I'm a lot of people maybe want to know sort of like the funnel that you use to get the clients to your virtual sessions. Are you still doing the free group class or no? Now it's just paid and that free was just sort of to get people used to using Zoom.
Yeah, we did like the first free one just that first day and now everything's paid. There's definitely some people that are offering just free classes out there. And like what I'm telling my trainers, I said, hey, if no one signs up for your class, go on Facebook and teach the first 10 minutes of it to what it was, kind of showing what it's going to be. So we're getting a little bit of that. My dog's knocking on the door over there. But there's a scenario where I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, sorry. Just no worries. We were just talking about like the free versus paid and sort of like that funnel that we're getting people to start signing up. How do we break that? How do we get them used to you? And so you were just saying that you did free at first, but now you're only doing paid.
Yes, and for that paid time, they know that they're going to get an hour of whatever they need. Now, in a private session, we're also offering 40-minute sessions and 60-minute sessions instead of normally it would just be an hour. And people are liking that ability to, I can buy a 40-minute session to try it out. What we used to do pre this, we would have free initial assessments, whether it was PT or Pilates, to kind of get to know people. Well, now what we're offering on that first telehealth session for the people that don't know us, we're saying, hey, you get a 30-minute session for the price of 15. So it's kind of like a free discovery session in the beginning, but you're going to pay for the second 15 minutes. And so we're using that with our language when we talk to someone, like when we've continued to get some leads. People continue to call us and say, hey, my back's hurting. And so we've reached out to people. I've had Andy, the PT working with me, he reached out to someone that called in the other day. He got him on a telehealth session by saying, it's half price for the half hour. And the guy started asking a little bit about insurance, and he goes, we don't take insurance. Andy said, we don't take insurance. And right now we don't know if insurance is going to cover any of this. So, if you want to go try to find someone that takes your insurance, that's fine. But we don't, and we can see you tomorrow. And we're ready to go and everything's going. And he signed up and it was good to go. But that's something that with my clients that don't, that already know me, I'm just telling them, hey, you can see me for 15 minutes for $40, and it's like however many 15 minutes, it's $40 a pop. Well, that's a lot less than what I normally charge. So they start doing that math. So that I'm not giving them like any free incentive to do it, but I'm giving them a big discount. We'll say that. Gotcha. For every unit across the board. And so, and in our private classes, we're keeping them at the same price right now, because a lot of people that bought a package that we're letting them use. So if someone bought a 10-pack of classes right before this started, well, they can, 10-pack of private sessions, well, they can work with the trainer those 10 times, and they've already prepaid for it. So we're keeping those prices the same. If someone was in our membership and paying monthly to be able to take our group reformer classes, we're letting them take our virtual classes and maintain the membership that they're in. So we're letting people have different options, you know, and that's all comes from people asking. They say, hey, should I cancel my membership and pay virtually? Well, what do you want to do? Can I just keep my membership and pay it through that? What costs you more that way? I don't care. I want to help you out a little bit. Okay. Again, what we're seeing is there's a lot of people that want to help out. There's a lot of people that are trying to cheapskate us in ways, but a lot of people want to help out. So they're buying stuff and they're buying packages. Like some people bought packages right before this happened, knowing that they may not have used them for a while. So that's the great thing about having a community where people love us, our clients love us, and we've created a space that doesn't feel like a PT clinic at all. It feels like a Pilates studio. It's a movement studio that happens to have a few rooms where we do PT. But that community feel is what is so powerful and so important.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that for so many clinics. It's all about the community feel. Well, I just have one more question and then we will open it up to Q&A, guys. So thank you so much for staying on. I've got a little present for you guys in a couple minutes. So I've got just one more question here. So my last question, Stephen, because you've really been so transparent with the whole process, which I really appreciate. We've had so many speakers that are just like giving. And so it's just awesome. Now, do you think this is a model that you'll continue when this is over, when COVID is over?
I do. I definitely do. The telehealth, maybe not as much, but it's going to still be an option for people that don't want to come in, that want to tune up or a progression without having to come in. But the virtual training that my staff is doing, like my wife is loving she's loving pushing mute. That's what she's loving. She's hey, watch me exercise. And she's getting paid to exercise. So every class she's teaching virtually, she's doing the class, teaching the class, versus a normal hour for her would be telling someone what to do, watching them, helping move them. So she loves this new approach of, hey, I get to like sit here and work out and get paid. And if she has 5 people in it, again, it's $100. It's not what she would make necessarily training a private client, but now she's got some people that are popping into her classes that live in different states. And all of a sudden our family and friends are going to start realizing, oh, wait, we can take a class with Cheryl. So there's a whole new virtual side. And with what we were building for our online membership, we've been working on that for about a year. This virtual side is going to continue to pump content into that. Yeah. So we're going to keep that going, because now I was having a hard time getting my staff to film these videos for me. Right. So I've been asking, I'll tell you a story. I've been asking my staff for over a year to, hey, film a 25-minute video or greater about anything you want. Give it to me. I'll pay you for your time. I'll pay you for the hour that you're working to put it together. And then I'm going to put it in this membership site. And then anyone you sell it to, I'm going to give you a 50% commission on. And they were so slow, dragging their feet. And over the course of a year and 3 months, I got 26 videos. Well, from this outbreak, all of a sudden they start saying, I'm going to film videos. I'm like, well, now I can't pay you your hour to film a video. Before, I could pay you your hour. Now I can't pay you your hour until the back end, so we start making some money. And because they all wanted to sit home and now get paid to make the videos, I'm like, I can't. 3 months ago, yes, but now I can't afford to do that. So we need you to film these classes. And when you film these classes, we're going to use that to fill the membership site. And they're like, oh. And I said, yeah, and if someone misses the class that you want to have that class, let me know who it is. I'll send them that class for free.
Oh, I love that.
It doesn't hurt me to send them a damn class for free, at all. So there's where we can serve and help people, and just like, hey, this is something like, if you don't know what to do in your class, think of that one person that you can't see right now, and this class is for them. And then you tell them who that is, and I'll send it to them. So we're just trying to to step up and be the people to help in any way. But to answer your question, I definitely expect some of my trainers to not come back to want to even work in the studio, that they will continue to want to teach virtually, or a combination of virtually and in studio. But yeah, it'll definitely be a continuation of our business and a new revenue stream, that once we're doing what we normally do, and maybe the capacity is different on the back end, who knows? But this will be a new revenue source that I'm already thinking of. Okay, we're going to grow this and streamline this. And how do I get out of the mix of having to email people? How can I now reach out to MindBody and say, you need to figure out how to send emails to these people because they're all in the loop, blah, 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 blah. So who's going to come up with the technology to make what I need to do easier? Because now I'm doing it in a way that's kind of rudimentary and not the best, but I'm making do with what I have. And it didn't cost me anything extra to do this. 0 extra money. I was already paying Zoom. I was already paying MindBody. Nothing extra to implement a whole new revenue stream in my business. 2 of them. And again, granted, it's been work, but no extra money. Time and sweat equity, but that's how you build a business. I just didn't plan on building this business in 2 days, but it's all right.
But you prove a point that you can. That's a nice thing, is that there's a lot of technology out there, and trial and error. And luckily right now, everyone, it's sort of funny. I was talking about technology with my fiance, and I'm so hard on myself. I feel like I have to present something and it has to be perfect. But you realize that you don't. It's okay to come on. Like, he took a seminar that's normally in person, and it was on finances, on stocks, and it's normally in person. And this gentleman that taught it was older, in 70s, and didn't have fancy technology, didn't have fancy video, but it's okay because it's about the content. And that's the thing that strikes me the most, that I want to tell everyone is if you're thinking about doing something like this, just try to have the content be out there, try to have the community be out there, just try to be as helpful as possible. And hopefully you all will look past my technical mistakes, and same with Stephen.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, let's open it up to some questions here. If you all have any questions, please put them in the chat for Stephen here, and we can spend the last couple minutes trying to help you with anything that you have in relation to just going remotely or Pilates. Awesome. Okay, we already have a first question. Stephen, for your wife's setup, how much space is required? Are you using the camera off of her laptop? And can you talk about maybe like the setup for the filming? And
basically this space is about the size of a mat. It's a little bit bigger than a mat, a yoga mat. And so she's got a camera set up, like a laptop set up on a stool. She's got a light behind her, and then her mat is right there. So it could be taught in my trainers are teaching in their bedroom. They're teaching in their living rooms at home. My wife is going up to the studio because it keeps the dogs out of the way, the kids out of the way. But it doesn't take up much space for a virtual. Like, you think about the space that I use on my treatment table, I could, in my room where I treat patients, I could totally teach everything I needed to teach. So not a lot of space. Now, we have a lot of space. We have 3,000 square foot. That's the scary part about this, is that we've got a lot of space with a lot of equipment that we need people using. But this virtual space to do what we're doing, not a lot of space. Think about a mat. And I think what's really important is the light. And we're recording with Zoom, and Zoom's not the best recordings versus the phone. So I've been asking my trainers if they'll set up the phone on a tripod right above their camera. It's an extra step. It takes a little bit more work, but the quality of the video on your phone versus the laptop is better, and quite a bit better. So those are some little simple tricks with that. And Cheryl just kind of has her set up, and she has a big whiteboard that's like one of those flip charts, and then she writes out what she wants to do. I always say it's kind of like being a musician. She's got a set list, right? She goes out there. Now, she doesn't always keep to that set list. Sometimes she'll go off in different tangents depending on whatever comes to her head. But there's a set list that she writes up in case she doesn't know what to do next. Boom, there's something on this board to look at. So it's not much. It's really not much. We had everything we needed already. Again, I mentioned the technology, but we already had the light. We already had the tripod. We already had the laptop. already had Zoom. So again, it was not anything new, finding a little space in the corner. One of my trainers has taught a class in her closet. So
in the closet. Interesting. That's an interesting one.
the sound was the best in her closet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like if you're wanting to just do sort of like maybe like an audio guidance, if you can go somewhere that's sort of like enclosed, that's going to be really good for your audio versus this. I mean, this is a big room. It's a little, maybe I'm a little echoey just because there's not a lot of room in this room. Yeah, a couple things to add to that. If you want to upgrade even more, is you can get lighting, like Steven said, is huge. The better light, the better it will be. Even if you're using like a poor screen quality, you know, and anything that you have, the more light, the better. So if you like have your phone, you'll actually notice that if you try to like turn on, you know, let's say Facebook streaming and you're in a dark spot versus a light spot, it's like the pixels pick up the color. So the more light, the better. I actually have these studio lights here. This right here, and I'll make like a PDF. I have a PDF, but I'll update it a little bit, but I will share with everyone and I'll put it on the summit too, sort of like a tech gear. But these lights that I have these two big lights and they're super bright. I don't even have them on right now, but they're massively, massively bright. And so it can take a pitch black room, make it really, really bright. And I think it was $50 for the two lights with the stands and with the covers and everything. Yeah, lighting is key. And there's this really neat setup actually for your phone. Ooh, what do you have, Steven?
This is the sound, the recordings we started, the microphone recordings we started using. So one plugs into your phone or your computer, and one plugs in on your like belt and then, you know, a lapel type of thing. So therefore, when we're teaching a class, and not all of my trainers are using them, but my wife's using it, and it sounds a lot better because if she turns her head, it still has the same quality sound. If she's moving and doing, it just sounds a little bit better. And those headphones don't work when you're teaching a class. I've been able to teach with a telehealth session with them on, but this brand, Movo, they've been very good. And it's a little receiver that hooks up, and then again the piece that connects to the person teaching.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll get that link from you later. But yeah, audio is key. Like this microphone I have is the AT2100, but this is good for like if you're going to do a course, a podcast, if you're going to do fitness, you know, it sounds so different right now than if I'm right here. Like you can tell I'm sort of like having to like be right up near the microphone, and this is where it sounds the richest versus when you're farther away. So this is not good for fitness. This is good for your courses and your podcast. Fitness, go with what Steven said, and I'll make a link for that one. So we talked about lights, audio, and then making yourself look good. So if you want to, and you're using a laptop, you can just get like a Logitech webcam. There's a Brio, and they actually just came out with this super cool one, which has this really neat like flip and like 4K and all these fancy stuff. But it's about $150, and that connects right to your laptop. You can also, if you don't want to go that way, and you're maybe wanting to go, I don't know if anyone's followed any sort of fancier, sort of advertiser and marketer like say Pat Flynn, but what they use is actually a digital camera like the Canon M50. There's just a lot of different ones. But what you can do is you can link that into your computer using sort of a special USB. I believe it's called E-Link, and that's about $100-ish. But there's a really neat setup, like Steven said, with your phone, where it's a little, and I don't know if you've seen this, Steven, but it's like a little tripod, and you put the phone in it, and then it has a little hook for the light and a little hook for the microphone too, and this little stand, and it's great. But yeah, I will link to all that stuff, but that's just a little bit about audio visual. But the better you can make that look and sound, Steven's right, a lot more people are going to show up, you know, if it looks better than if it looks poor quality. And that's how you maybe are going to be able to stand out compared to your competitors too.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Any other questions? We got a couple people in here. And before you all go, if you want to use the coupon code, I'll type it in, TELA, if you want to use the coupon code TELA, we are doing a telehealth CEU course on the 12th of April, and that's a 4-hour CEU course taught live by Therex Portal. And so if you want to join that, that will give you $20 off of that CEU course. So just a little thank you for everyone coming on and attending. So I really appreciate that. Anything else, Stephen? Anything else you're thinking of that you want to share while we have a couple more minutes for Q&A?
I think the most important thing is that whatever we're in, whatever situation we're in through this, is that we just keep moving forward. Even if you're not making money in a day, even if you're only getting sweat equity with relationships, that's okay. It's just do something to keep things moving. I woke up yesterday and I've been 7 or 8 days in a row, except for the weekend, with people on my telehealth schedule. And I woke up yesterday and I didn't have anyone on my schedule for the first day since I kind of started. And it totally bummed me out. And my wife said, Stephen, this is a great opportunity. You got all day to do whatever you need to do to move the needle forward. And it was so cool because I was like, I just needed that little thing. And I spent the whole day on the phone. And again, that day on the phone led to next week is going to lead to at least $500 of income that if I wouldn't have spent that time doing it, or if I'd have had patience yesterday, I maybe wouldn't have been on the phone making that happen. So whatever you're doing, don't think of it as like billable hours. Am I making money for this? Because a lot of stuff I'm doing, like today, I was slam busy with things that I was doing, but I only made money on 30 minutes of that time. But everything else I did with my time today was well worth my time. And it's sharing and trying to help others move the needle forward. So don't get stuck in this, and turn the news off, and don't get stuck in all this craziness, because it's happening and we know it's happening, but spend this time focused on your family, your immediate people in your world, and moving that needle forward, because this is going to end. And when it does end, my patients that I've reached out to and have talked to, even the ones that I've left messages and text, they're going to remember me. They're not going to do business with the guy that's popping up at trying to get rebounds from everybody that failed, versus the person that took that time and effort to stay nurturing that relationship. So keep doing something. Every day be positive. Wake up and be positive, because it's really easy to be like, and that's what I'm doing. And if I can continue to do that and spend that time trying to serve my people, then I don't feel like it was a waste of a day. I look at my bank account and it's scary, but at the same time, I know that it was a good day. And to me, a good day is more important, because if I can be a leader to my community, and leader to my tribe of people who are looking for leadership, then that's worth it. And because we're all in the same place. So that's my, I don't get deep very much, but that's about as deep as I can get. And that's what I got for you.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you, Stephen. No, that was so helpful. And you've been really amazing on this webinar. We really appreciate it. Let's give some love here for Stephen, because you shared so many insights into not just a virtual Pilates studio, but just owning your own business and, trying to find clients and the creativity that comes with it, and those highs and lows. And I'm impressed with what you've created so quickly and how it's growing. And I know that this is actually going to be a blessing. So it's tough for you right now, but I know it's actually, you're going to be like in a year from now being like, thank goodness this all happened, because now you have all these additional revenue streams. I know it. So
that's right.
Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for coming on. Look out for our other amazing talks. We have so many just awesome therapists like Stephen coming on that are just wanting to share, and teach. And so we really appreciate your attendance, and we will see you guys in the next Remote Therapy Summit session. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.